Hello and welcome to Doon Does DVD, and this is Disney Classics number 28, The Little Mermaid. With this we have reached a milestone. After I have watched this, we'll be halfway through the box set. And we're also in a new phase of some films I actually remember, with a couple of odd exceptions, such as next week, but we'll get to that. This week we're talking about The Little Mermaid. And I remember quite a lot about this, characters and songs and stories. I'm expecting to get Under the Sea stuck in my head for the next few weeks. In fact, simply mentioning that song is helping already. But it's also been quite a long time since I last saw this. I couldn't tell you when that was, but I don't recall watching it in any of my adult life. So it must be at least 20 years ago. And so there's probably quite a lot of minor details I've forgotten. I'm only remembering the major songs, the major set pieces, and the broad strokes of the story. And two, I found myself wondering, will it still hold up after all this time? Will a film from 1989 start to feel dated at this point, when you haven't seen it for a long time? Now, given that it's an animated film based on a fairy tale, I'm guessing probably not, but there could be some instances where things don't read quite so well in the year 2020. So yeah, this is a film I remember enjoying before. Let's see if that's still the case. So yeah, thankfully, that is still really good. Great animation, great songs, great characters, all of the things. What I find interesting from watching the behind-the-scenes featurettes and the like on the disc is just how many different things had to come together to make this work. Disney had obviously been around a long time at this point and had kind of stagnated and wasn't really making enough money, and so it basically required a complete upheaval of absolutely everything to get us into the so-called Renaissance period. New staff at every level, from management down to animators, new facilities, new everything. Going back to fairy tales for the first time in 30 years. And somehow, incredibly luckily, all of these new elements came together and actually worked. Although it does seem that within all these changes, that composer and lyricist Howard Ashman was definitely a key role in sort of elevating this to the next level. Mainly there to provide the songs, but ended up sort of dipping his toes in all the other areas and wrote some scenes, had input on character, and sort of generally seems to have been helping out anywhere he could. He's largely credited with bringing the musical theatre, Broadway style to it. He would then go on to provide more input and songs for both Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, another two of the greats, but then unfortunately he tragically died of complications related to AIDS in 1991. So we'll never know what future greatness there could have been. Although obviously there are plenty of other talented folks working for Disney, particularly during this period. All the new things behind the scenes were technically old things. For the first time in a long time, they actually filmed live action scenes with actors in order to have a reference to make more realistic looking animation, including of course a bunch of underwater stuff to help get hair to flow right. And interestingly though, even though Disney spent millions of dollars on a whole computer animation department for Oliver and Company, during the features for The Little Mermaid, computer animation isn't even mentioned once. Now, according to some articles I read, it was still used, it just wasn't quite as prominent as it has been in the last couple of films. But this is also apparently the last film that was completely coloured by hand painting. In the future the line drawings will be scanned and then digitally coloured, but we'll talk about that next week. And so again, much like Oliver and Company, this is very much a transition into the new era. And while generally I would probably say that I prefer The Lion King or maybe Aladdin over this one, it's definitely something that's grown on me over the years. There's always that little resistance in the past that, 13-year-old boy me couldn't admit to liking this as much as he did because it was his mum's favourite. Obviously I grew out of that years ago, but that's always just given Lion King a bit of the edge. But still, adult me is now not afraid to say that I love this. My only complaint, if I have to mention something, is a problem that many Disney films have and many fairy tales have, and that's just too much love at first sight and then getting married after only knowing each other for a few days, 3 of which where one of the characters couldn't even speak. Obviously that's how fairy tales generally work, but it never quite gels with me. But that's the only issue I really have with it. Everything else is lovely. What are your thoughts on The Little Mermaid? Tell me about those in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next week with The Rescuers Down Under.